Hello and welcome to the Knit Girls. My name is Laura, also known as Lala.
I feel like we just got off already.
I didn't say this is episode
Yes, there we
281.
go. Something was different. I'm Leslie, also known as You Don't Call Me Les.
Thank you for everyone who has put up with our shenanigans for 280 previous episodes. Leslie and I
Seriously.
just had a discussion about whether it was 280 or 281.
It's
She didn't
like
believe me.
I'm sure that your I was gonna say your kids, but I mean like your school kids, like you get into a point where it's so familiar that then it becomes like something totally new. Like you're trying to call your kids, but you go through seven names before you get to the right one.
For me, it's like anytime anyone approaches my counter, I'm like, go ahead and type in your number. And they're like, I just want to ask you a question.
Yeah, but I
I'm
can't
like,
address you until you type in your
type in your
number.
number.
So I know what your name is.
No, it's not even that. Like, it's so ingrained. Like, you come up to my counter, you were checking out a book, you need to type in your number.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I didn't say that it was episode
You
281,
threw
but
off my whole game with that one little
I've
change.
messed up the Emperor's Groove.
Yes, you have.
So thank you to everyone who's put up with our shenanigans, and welcome to everyone new.
Yep.
It is right after Christmas, but before New Year's.
It's
We're
December
recording
29th.
late. Yep, because I wanted to spend a little bit extra time with my family. So, although I spent lots of time with my sister Beck and her husband and my parents, you do not get to see that. I was trying to get back to record, but we were too busy watching Taxi. So,
Yeah.
we did like, you know what we watched primarily? This is so ridiculous. We sat and we knit, and Wheezy fiddled with his phone, and my mom was knitting, and I was knitting, Beck was knitting, and we watched the Game Show Network because I don't have cable. So
Hmm.
this is like anything on cable. And typically, when we all get together, we watch Cats from Hell. Like that is what
Oh,
we
yeah, yeah, yeah. The
we
guy with the
always
guitar
love that show.
case. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so that's a great show. But nothing was on Animal Planet except like Alaskan vet things. So we got on Game Show Network and they've played Family Feud for 48 hours straight. And so, like, my brother-in-law and my father were having serious discussion about if it was 7 or 8 things to pick, like if you would go for it or if you would pass. Like, and my brother-in-law was like, "No, it doesn't matter if you pass or if you go for it. It's how smart you are, and these people are not smart." But it was, but I feel like if it's 8, you're better off passing. I don't know. So that was like a huge discussion.
They have to keep themselves entertained because the women folk can sit and knit and watch
Yeah.
nothing for.
Yeah, we could. Well, Mom and I, before Beck and Matt got there, were watching Great British Bake Off again, like the
Hmm.
one season that's on Netflix. She hadn't seen it, so I was like, "We'll watch this." So then we were discussing the science slash art of bread baking. But
So, speaking
so
of that show, since we're not on knitting yet anyway,
yeah, go for it.
I finished watching it because there's only like 5 or 6 episodes, I think.
They
And
go from 11 down to 3, so yeah.
okay. Well, I watched the only season that's on Netflix, which I think is actually the fourth season. And I would just like to say that I have heard of maybe 5% of the things that they made.
Really?
I had no idea what most of those things were.
You know what rye bread is?
Yeah, but I don't like it.
You know what gingerbread is?
I do. But for they had a biscuit week or whatever, or
Yeah,
the whole
this
week they were making biscuits. And it took until the end of the first challenge for me to realize that biscuits were cookies,
yes.
not biscuits. Like the American version of a biscuit
Biscuit is like a buttermilk biscuit.
yeah, it's like a big
Big.
fluffy thing you spread jam and stuff on. Anyway, there were some really delicious looking things on there that I had never heard of and will
Yeah.
never make.
No, like definitely.
But it was
And
very enjoyable.
it's fun and it's so positive. Like
Yes.
even when they get kicked off, they're like, you
Hmm.
know, all these other people are better bakers than me, so they deserve it. It's
Yeah.
sweet.
It's very different from the American reality shows.
But anyway, on to knitting. I'll go first if you are not prepared, or you can go first.
It doesn't matter to me.
Okay. I'm gonna go first because I only have 2 things.
I
So
only
it'll
have
be
one
super
thing
fast.
really.
Oh, okay. So this is my or Arnie. I think it's Arnie and
I think it's
Carlos
Arnie, yeah.
sock. I cannot tell you the colorway number, but it is from the first series. And my sister's already laid claim to this. So this is so big with a heel because it's for Beck. So Jess and I were having a discussion. Show me your knits. And she's knitting a different colorway. And she says it never repeats. This one does repeat, but it's got a super long repeat. So you can see there's the blue surrounded by the red there. And it doesn't occur again.
Till like 7 or 8 inches.
So yeah, it's a super long repeat, but that repeat is there. I am knitting this on size zeros. They're Addy Sock Rockets. It has a heel that is an gusseted toe-up heel by Wendy Johnson, and all the numbers for that are on her website, wendyknits.net. And so it's got that little gusset, and I am now on the leg, and I'm just zooming along. I have decided I was giving myself hand cramps by how I typically tension my yarn. So typically, I just tension my yarn by folding my fingers down like that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I've always tensioned, but that's not working for me anymore. So I'm now wrapping it. I tried like 18 different ways. Like I was just...
It's a very personal thing.
For a while. And then Carrie was like, why don't you go like this? And so this is what's really working for me right now.
So when I tension...
I want to see how you tension. And then I want people to take...
I tension just between these two fingers. That's it. And I'll hold it down with this hand, but down here has no effect on tension. It's just between these two fingers.
And when I feed it, it feeds off this finger, like my pointer finger.
Mine feeds over like this.
Yeah. But you also, like, shove your needles with the butt of your hand to some degree. Correct?
With the fingers, yeah. Well, and when I grip the needles, I do grip them with the base of the palm, whatever that part is called.
Like right there?
Like a little more further towards the outside, but yes, that area.
Whereas I don't really at all. So it's interesting to see how different people knit. You know, on Instagram a couple years ago, there was a thing called How I Knit.
Mm-hmm. Hashtag How I Knit. Mm-hmm.
Yes, and I feel like we should bring that back because people change the ways they knit. But I also think it's pretty cool to see how different people knit. So this is the first thing that I'm working on, and it is all the way up past the heel, and now it's just going on the leg. This was sold in 2 different balls.
Oh, okay, so you're just going to keep going?
I'm going to keep going pretty far. I might not use it all, but I'm going to go pretty far. I don't want to use it all, though, because I think it was Susan B. Anderson did, like, a mishmash of, like, all the different ones. Mm-hmm. And I have...
Like a Frankensock, sort of?
Yes, and I have at least... I'm looking, and I have a... all my, like, bald sock yarn is on an over-the-door, like, spice rack. And I have at least 1, 2, 3 other ones. So, and I really like Series 3, but I can't find it anywhere. So if anyone knows where they're selling Series 3 online in the US, let me know. So that is the first thing that I'm working on. The second thing that I'm working on is this. So, and actually, this is the top and it goes down. So what this is, and I just started this today, is it's really heavy too. It's hand spun from Infinite Twist. And it is a shawl called Behind the Sun.
It's very pretty. It looks super squishy.
It is super squishy. It's in on size 8s too. So it is by Kate, who is the owner of Infinite Twist, and you can find the kits on her site. It is really interesting. It's got short rows at the top. So this was all short rows up here. And then you're increasing as you go out. And she says, like, increase super loose for the knit front and back. So, like, pretend like you're making 2 stitches. So what I'm doing, instead of pretending, I'm actually making 2 stitches. Like, I'm double looping it. And then when I come back to it, I'm dropping that second loop. So that's helping. It's supposed to be, this is what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be, that's the wrong side that y'all are looking at. Like, one section is one color. But because I knit kind of loose, I did not check my gauge. I ran out before the end of the section, so I just went to the second color, second gradient, and that's going to have these purple. this purple that stripes through. So let me show you what the rest of my kit looks like. So this is the purple that's going to stripe through. I kind of wish so the gray is the gradient in this one. So there's this color left. I'm sorry for the crinkling because it's still in the bag. So it's keeping it in order. And then there's the next.
Oh, pretty.
And then there's the third. And her kits all come with, like...
everything.
Yes. So there's a pencil and stitch markers and a little ruler and the needles. And I have this because she sent us a second kit to give away.
Ooh, that's
so
pretty.
We'll be giving this away next week. And it comes with everything you need, like the needles, the stitch markers. There's so many stitch markers in there, and that's like my favorite.
Yeah, the bold ones.
Yes.
Yeah.
The ruler, there's a pencil, and then this one is greens, and it's got, do you see the sparkly on that one?
Oh, that's cool.
A little bit of sparkly. So it's all hand spun, and she does ethically...
Yeah, fair trade.
Yes, type yarns that are spun locally to her. So that is that kit, and we'll have that to give away next week. This week we have something else to give away that I also finished. So, but this is the purple hand spun that's like my main color. That's really the contrast stripes that go through. And I'm just about ready to join that again. I am also, because the stripes are just like one, and I'm just adding the colors as I run out. And I actually ran out on the second stripe, and so I've added the third color, which is almost just like the second. I am, let me see if I can find it, knitting because it's just a 2-row stripe of that purple. I'm just knitting the first stitch with both the gray and the purple and just carrying it up.
Oh, okay.
So that's like one last end that I have to weave in. So, yep. And I'm knitting these on size 8s, and I cannot find my signature size 8s. I'm sure they're in a project somewhere. Yeah. I did find the 10s, but then I was like, my gauge will be crazy large. But you could totally go larger on this and make it drapier. This is pretty dense, but it's gonna be so squishy. But that's it for me. That's all I'm working on, and that's living in my SSK Fat Squirrel bag. So that's it for me. What are you working on?
You caught me right as I started a row. That was intentional.
I don't know that was intentional, but I ran out of things to say.
So I am working on one last cross stitch piece for a gift, but I'm not going to show it because Jess watches the show.
Now she knows it's cross stitch.
Well, yeah, but she doesn't know what it is.
Okay.
But it'll be finished by next week. Well, it'll be finished by this week, probably.
And mailed to her.
Yes. And I have a big package of stuff to mail to Laura, including thank you notes that I filled out a bunch of them today, like 50 or so. And by the end, my hand was like, oh, God, I'm going to fall. Because I don't write a lot during the day. And so I've like, those muscles have atrophied. I used to take notes all day during school, but
it's been a little bit.
Yeah. So, I've knit on these sock blanks since we started the recording today. So, I've knit maybe half an inch.
Okay.
Sock blank socks. This is by Gail's Art. This is her snowflake one, the special snowflake.
Ooh.
She's doing another sock club.
She is. Did you get the email from her that I forwarded?
I did. Well, she texted me before she emailed you. Sometimes it's handy to have those vendors in your phone. Sometimes it's not. When you're like, oh my God, I love everything. Please hold this for me. So it's hard on your wallet sometimes. She hasn't said it, but I think it's going to be the extreme sock blank.
I don't know. She showed pictures on Instagram of like the Valentine stamps. So I don't know. I do know she got an airbrush kit for Christmas.
Yeah. I
think it'll be fun.
Well, I can take this chance to actually show you guys. So, I don't know if you remember how I mentioned last week that she was going to do an update.
And then didn't Lynn carjack you?
And then Lynn carjacked me.
You have tell the people in the group.
Lynn is Lynn Zim. She's a friend of ours.
That's hilarious.
Oh, she sent stitch markers too.
Oh,
But I ended up getting my second choice from Gail's Art. This was just a regular update. This is one of her extreme sock blanks.
ooh.
And I love it lots.
That is pretty.
The one that I wanted had a little bit more dark, like blackish sections. But still, I like it. And she shows on Instagram, if you go on there and look at Gail's Art, all one word, she shows how these knit up, like a general idea because each one is different, and they knit up so cool.
I know.
And she includes these little stitch markers, and they're really cute, by Everyday Peacocks.
Oh.
Yeah, they're like little wire ones with crystal.
Ooh, that's cool.
Yeah, I like them. So, that is not what I'm knitting, but this led to that, which led to another purchase that I'll show y'all later. But the other thing, what I've spent most of my time knitting this week, when I've been knitting, because I had the week off, the week of Christmas off.
Yeah.
Because I had to use some vacation time, and I did less crafting than I would have done if I hadn't had the week off.
Huh.
I ended up reading in bed for several hours a day.
Yeah. Yep.
But anyway, so I've been knitting on this. This is the Citron.
Ooh, that's really pretty.
Citron Grand. This is out of some hand spun, a loop bump. This is a single ply that I fold. I've gotten to one of the last shades, the second to last shade. So it starts out this really light pale pink, goes into one that's slightly darker, more magenta-ish. And then this one's sort of a grapish color. And then here, I don't really know what you'd call that. More of a wine color, I guess.
Yep.
So, and that is...
Chardonnay.
Chardonnay's white, isn't it?
I'm like the anti-wine. It's not that I'm anti-wine drinking. It's just that
it has the sulfides. And,
yeah, it's got a lot of sulfides. And they do make sulfide-free wine, but... It is not reactable with my body.
So this is pretty. The color that I'm on.
Oh, you still have a lot to go.
Yeah, and I still have a ton of this darkest color to go. So I would like to finish it this week, but the rows are so long. Some of them have like more than 600 stitches, and I've still got a couple sections to go where I increase again and then decrease back down. So many stitches. I'm really looking forward to the finished object. I already have an idea of who I'm going to give it to because it's not my color at all, but...
Are you going to bead the bottom to give weight to it?
I might, because the pattern calls for doing this ruffle, which is really pretty, but it also kind of curls up a little bit.
My worry, though, with beads would be if you get a sharp edge, it's on a single.
Right. So I may do it, but just do it sparingly, you know? Mm-hmm. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. I'm open for opinion, though, if people have opinions. Everybody's got opinions. I have no finished objects.
Okay, I do have one that I could show. I did finish the Wild Goose Shawlette out of Shalimar in the Airy Base in the Whale Silks colorway. I can show you the skein that we're going to give away this week. So it was this yarn, and you're going to get, I probably had like 20 yards extra. If you win this, you'll get my extra too, if I can remember to throw it in there. So you'll get a little bit more than one skein because they were the same. Della. Mom really liked it. It was her Christmas present, so she's got it. I also finished my brother-in-law's socks out of Ingrid Elf, which is socks that rock medium weight. There is a picture of that on my Instagram feed. A very terrible late at night. Like I finished them midnight at Christmas, and my sister and brother-in-law got in around 1 a.m. So I finished them just in time. But he really likes those. He always likes hand knit socks and is very appreciative. Now, the one thing that I can show you is I'm trying to get a head start on some baby knits because I know I have at least 4 showers coming up. And our friend Alicia just had a little girl, June. So, of course, I cast on something for a boy. But there's this new book out called Sweet Pickles.
Yes.
And it's got a bunch of very cute baby stuff in it. And this is a hat from that. It's like a little bonnet. Do you see? Mm-hmm. And it's knit very cleverly. So you start with the I-cord and work your way up, and then you do increases, and then you do like a line of increases on either side of the stockinette. and then there's short rows here.
So it's knit sideways with
It's knit
I
sideways.
cord.
And
That's
then you
really clever.
decrease back down, and then you have I-cord on the other side.
That
So
is
this is
pretty
the
snazzy.
smallest size, but it's super cute. And I had some Cashmere from when that was being made
Mm-hmm.
by Cascade, I believe. So I have like 7 balls of that in various colors, which is not enough really, unless you're going to do color work to do anything. But I can do a lot of these little hats, and they have matching mitt and booties that go with them. So if I have enough, I'm going to do the matching mitts and booties. And one of my Christmas presents from Santa was size 5 double points from Signature. So perfect for knitting this.
You knit
Because,
that on double points?
mm-hmm. Well, I knit the I
Oh,
cord.
the I cord. Okay.
And
Yeah.
then once I got like 25 stitches, then I went to a small circular.
Okay.
Back and forth. But it was perfect for double points up until that point. Because you just knit back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
So you use them like single points. But yeah, I think it's pretty cute. And Humberto would not model it. He was very disgruntled. He was not in the modeling mood last night. And the fact that I had just left him for 5 days
Yeah.
did not make it any better. But that's a perfect way, especially the little mitts that go with it. Let me see if I have a picture. So this book was sent to us to kind of look through, possibly review. But the edition they sent has like sample written
Yeah, it's got
all over it.
watermark. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the hat with the mittens set.
I actually think yours looks cuter than that.
Aw, thank you. The baby's super cute though. So
the baby is super cute. The color choice was just.
and there's the complete set.
Oh, the yellow one's really cute.
Yeah, so I think this is a great way of using up little bits of worsted scraps. So I think there will be more of those in the future for sure. I think Baby June needs at least, I don't know, that or an upside down daisy hat by Susan B. Anderson.
It's so funny because every time you say her name, it just makes me laugh because it makes me think of Alicia.
Yes.
The mother, the woman who just gave birth. Because I've known her since a lot longer than I haven't known her. Let's just put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Almost 20 years.
Yeah.
And, oh God.
And 4 kids. 5
Yes.
kids if you include Kobe.
Yes. But it's just like her to name her daughter June, who was born in December.
She was born on Christmas.
Yeah, just makes me laugh.
Yes.
Anyway, is that all? Do you only have 3 finished objects this week? Is that
I do,
it?
but I could only show 2 or 1. And that was knit on size 5, so it went really, really fast. So that's it. Spinning wise, I did not do any spinning, but 2 SSKs ago, I bought a 10-pound fleece of Romney from Ross Farms. And I've been slowly washing it. It's on my washing table because I have a big plastic table out in my garage that's covered with a drop cloth, and the fleece that I'm working on sits there. And so I've been working on it since probably July because I owed my sister 2 pounds of it. She had purchased 2 pounds of it. So as part of her Christmas, like she just bought 2 pounds of the raw fleece off of me. I washed it. So how I wash this, because it wasn't coated, it's got a lot of stuff, veg matter in it, and dirt. And so what I'm doing is I'm picking through it and putting the locks in a lingerie bag, all facing the same way. And it's around a 4-inch lock length on this. And it's a gorgeous, like because it was out in the sun, it wasn't coated, like there's sun tips, which tend to break sometimes. So as I'm going through it, they're breaking off, which is fine. I'd rather they break them than during spinning.
Yeah.
So I'm putting it in a lingerie bag and I'm letting it sit in cool water overnight or for 8 hours, whichever, like, because I can get up and put it in cold water and let it sit for 8 hours and then, before I go to work and then come home and I have fleece that needs to be washed. So then
you're
I'm
doing it in cold water?
I'm letting it sit for 8 hours in cold water. It was something I read on one of the Ravelry boards, and that helps when you have very dirty fleece. It's sitting, it's like soaking out all the dirt, supposedly. And then I'm doing I'm squishing out all the water. I'm doing 3 hot cycles with wool wash in there.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm doing 4 rinses.
Wow, that is a lot of rinses. I guess if it's super dirty and it needs it, then yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to
And
rinse
then
until the water runs clear.
yes, that's what's happening. And then after it dries, I'm flicking it, and then I'm picking it, and then I'm carding it. And so I got right around a pound done for Beck while we were together. I used
Wow.
Mom's drum carder, and I was in Mom's. Like my back was spasming by the end
Yeah.
because I was. Ah. But I got a pound done for her, and I have another pound that I'm gonna do. So,
That's pretty
but it's
awesome.
yielding like 2 pounds is really equaling 1 pound, completely processed. Maybe really like 15 ounces, because it's getting rid of all the dirt and the lanolin, and there's, as you go through, you pick through. There's pieces that you can't use, or shortcuts and
Oh
stuff.
yeah, yeah.
That's
Or
any.
some that are just so dirty they are just not worth saving.
Yep. So it's my goal, hopefully, by the next time we record, to have like another 2 pounds just washed.
Yeah.
Like I've already done 4 ounces, which became 2 ounces.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd like at least another pound so I can start that process, and maybe by the end of January get her the rest that I owe her, mail it off to her. Although she's like, yeah, 1 pound was good. You don't have to do the rest. I'm like, I'm doing this for you. So, because she's like, now my sister's gotten super healthy, which is awesome, and I love her for
Mm-hmm.
it. And she's super skinny, so she gave away all her hand knit sweaters but the cat sweater. Um, because they don't fit anymore. She went from like a 42 down to like a 38 or 36
Mm-hmm.
bust measurement. So she rehomed all her hand knit sweaters to people, not me. Not that I'm bitter, but still. Um, and so she she's now knitting more sweaters, and she's like, I could totally get a sweater out of a pound of hand spun. And I'm like, shoot for that.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I mean, if she needs more than a pound, it's available.
She knows
So
where to go.
yeah. I'm going to split that fleece, what's left over for me, between a sweater for me, and because it's very soft around me, and it's really cool how the colors are changing, and then probably a pop blanket, the outside of like a pop blanket. It's a like a it's a natural color, brownish with golds, like a reddish brown.
Hmm.
It's really pretty. And then you can have some too. Everyone can have
As long as
some.
it's
Because
clean.
I have 8 more pounds. So that'll equal 4 pounds. It's a lot of fleece. So hopefully I can get 2 more pounds done. At least washed. Maybe I can show you the bin of that next week. So we have a book to review, and it is Cast Iron Cast Off by Becky Herrick and Callie Hastings. It was sent to us from the lovely folks over at Cooperative Press,
Mm-hmm.
but they also they sell the book primarily on Ravelry as a digital download, but also on you can purchase it on Amazon. So this is what the cover looks like. And it's a really interesting book because it's done by month.
Yeah.
And
through the seasons, and
yep,
it's multi-craftual.
yes, and it's a combination of knitting and primarily knitting and cooking.
Mm-hmm.
It's knitting and primarily knitting. It's knitting and cooking. They've got a great index that takes you through every month. So December is, for example, holiday chocolate bark, deep winter infused holiday vodka, these really cute beaded gift bags, and then like a shawl with a ruffle that also kind of has a hood. And out of those, I think the gift bags are very cool. Except mine's not. I guess you can't double click on the pictures in the index and have it.
No, I tried that. It doesn't take you. It's not a magic link,
It's
so to
not
speak.
magic. Every chapter is introduced with a lovely introduction.
Mm-hmm. They talk about the crafts that they're gonna um, show you.
And then these are the gift bags, which I think are very, very cute. There's a beaded snowflake, and then a beaded treat. And you could use those beaded patterns because they're charted on tons of other things as well.
And so, like the cooking the recipes that they give you are like chocolate bark
Mm-hmm.
for this particular
Infused vodka.
which was really interesting. Yeah, so one of the things is infused vodkas, and so they talk you through how to yes dear, they talk you through how to infuse your own vodkas with the flavors that you like,
Yeah.
which I thought was cool. I learned something. I had no idea how to do that.
There's a lot of pretty ingredient pictures in this book. So there's lots of glamour shots of ingredients for each month.
Oh baby.
I could tell he was down there. Your whole computer was shaking. In January, there's a blueberry jam cobbler, which I think I'm totally going to do using some frozen blueberries. And then probably my favorite piece of the book,
I
which
agree.
is a sweater called Blue Gold.
Yes.
There's that picture of the sweater. There's a great schematic. There's a detail shot of the collar.
Yes, it's got a lovely basket weave texture to it, and it just looks like something that you could wear every day.
Yep. It is very well sized. It is sized from a 27.5 bust all the way up to a 60.5 bust.
And it's
It
a
tells
DK
you,
weight yarn.
yep, that it's intended to be worn with an inch of positive ease.
Hmm.
Um, it tells you what size that it is on the model, but not what size the model actually is. But really, really pretty, great schematics. The schematics are a little bit harder to read because it's that
It's a
A,
different
B,
format, yeah.
C, yeah, numbers, but it works well for the piece that it is.
I
And
think also that the photography and the styling really fit the theme of the book.
I
Um,
agree with that. There are some objects in here. My biggest complaint of the book is that there might be a sweater that you only see like from here
right,
up.
yeah. So it's lacking in detail in some, and when I say that, I mean in photographs, not in the patterns.
Yeah,
But
and it's only on some stuff. Like some stuff has a lot.
hmm
February has another sweater. This one is more of a pullover. Um,
and it has
it's
recipes for brioche burger buns with sunflower seeds, goat cheese stuffed hamburgers, and
so this,
that sweater is Beauvenet.
yep, and it is again very well sized
Hmm.
from a 30 1/4 all the way up to 64 inches.
Yep.
It does tell you what required skills you need for each item. Like this one, you need perhaps sewing in zippers. I guess on some of them it's steeked with the zipper sewn
Yeah.
in, although there's not a picture of that in here. But yeah, you can sew a zipper into the collar if desired. So if you'd rather than having that open collar, you can also sew a zipper in, which is interesting. That's a little short zipper. Um,
I like the sort of mood that each month sets. Like this is
yeah,
March, so it's starting to warm up. She's got her horses, and I don't even know what this little thing is called here. It's like a sled behind dogs. Um,
it's not a sled; it's on
I
wheels.
know,
So
but I'm just trying to make an analogy.
it's cute. So there's that. There's very little pavlovas, which I've
Hmm.
never heard of
It's some
before.
sort of dessert, yeah, with a little flaky crust and then some preserves and whipped cream in there.
There is a vest. You get a great picture of the back detail, but the front, the only picture you get is that one. So it's a
Yeah.
little bit harder to see on that one what the full thing would look like from the front. It is cabled, it is well sized, again from a 31 up to a 64.5. It uses Imperial Yarn Columbia wool, which is a breed specific wool that's very lovely. And it's meant to have 0E. So the rest of the details are there, and there is a schematic. It's just you can't see what the full front looks
Hmm.
like. April has sheep.
The recipes, she shows you how to do dandelion fritters, which I guess are fried dandelions. I've never eaten a dandelion before.
It's very my side of the mountain. Have you ever read that book?
Mm-mm.
Oh, that's a good one.
And then there's a top called Texara. Again, sizing is really good. It goes from a 27.5 inch up to 63 and a half, and it's intended to be worn with 2 inches of negative ease. I like a lot of things about this sweater. It's got some really great shaping in it. The only thing I don't like is actually the point they intended, which are those puffy sleeves, which is part of the intent of the sweater, is the gentle puff of the sleeves. But it's got some fantastic bust shaping and waist shaping in it.
Yep. May is nasturtium and pea shoot salad, and then there's a skirt, which is cute. It's very layered.
Yes,
I can see my nieces totally rocking that.
Yeah, there's another picture here, which I think is...
It is adult sized. It's sized from a skirt hip circumference of 32 up to 64. And the bigger the hip circumference, the longer the length of it actually is, as well. It's another breed-specific yarn that I hadn't heard of, knitted with welterweight rambouillet.
I know that's an indie. Knitted wit is an indie yarn. The only question I had on this one was that it's meant to be worn with 4 inches of positive ease at the high hip, and I'm not certain about that on a skirt.
Yeah,
it does have a ribbon that goes through the top to assist with sort of tension there, but
you'd think you would want more negative ease.
Yeah, but I've never knit a skirt, so I could be very wrong.
July has some delicious looking garden pocket poppers. Pockets.
A cute little tank top as well, knit in Sparrow, which is a linen, a fingering weight linen. It's called Cucurbita, and it goes from 29-inch underbust to 61-inch underbust. It's very feminine, very simple. It's got gathers around the bust, so it's generous there.
Now there are some patterns. I really like the sweaters in this book, but some of the accessories I'm like, So there's a picnic set that has a blanket and napkins.
But yeah.
Maybe knit the blanket. Maybe. I'm not certain that I would ever knit napkins.
But this is the only picture.
Yeah, so you don't see the napkins.
Yeah.
But I'm not certain that napkins. There's also in the August section apron. I think I would just sew.
Yeah, I agree.
Apron versus...
I mean, I like that they include it because some people don't sew and have no desire ever to sew. And for those people, this is an option. But yes, personally, I would say it would probably be easier to sew versus knit this.
Especially with the I-cord and everything else. There's an infused green summer teas, which look delicious.
They really do. The styling, again, is really great. I really like this top, the Mentha top. It is knit out of, let's see,
Zula Milky Way yarn.
It looks like a sport weight.
Merino.
Yeah, it's got, it's knit from the bottom up, and it's joined over the shoulder, and it's got a really nice cable and lace section over the shoulder. And that same motif goes down the sides as well. So it's simple, but I think it's quite lovely, actually.
It is. Then we get into September, which is more fall. This is actually the only thing that's cooked in cast iron, and that's cornbread.
Oh, I didn't notice that. You're right.
It's harvest pesto cornbread. Yeah, but cast iron, cast on just sounds so good.
Yeah.
And it gets the point across that it's both a cooking book and a knitting book. There is a cute hat and mitt set. Again, I really think the focus for me in this book is not the recipes and then the sweaters more so than the accessories. There's fall roasted reds, which is roasted squash and
gourds.
And apples. And then a
spinach
salad.
And salad. And a nice
There's a shawl. Yep.
Called Punkia. It's knit from the edges to the center and then grafted in the center together. It's a long rectangular stole. It's got some pretty nice lace and cable twisted stitch detail.
Yeah. Definitely. Then we get into October. because that is the
Yes.
month that comes after September. Then there's apple dumplings.
Yes, boiled
Hello,
cider apple dumplings.
apple dumplings are the best. There's the cover sweater. The hood on that's a little bit weird for my taste. I don't know why I think it's weird, but the way it's attached to the neckline, it just seems to
Well, there's no
sit
shaping done on it. That's the
further
issue.
back.
It's just
Yeah.
it's knit straight up and then seamed.
It's kind of like the it does like the flying nun wings on the side a little bit.
Yeah, so it's just knit straight up from the collar. There's no shaping done on it. And then it's grafted together in the center.
So you could always change that out for a color. It
Mm-hmm.
does have a cute stitch detail pattern on the back.
And then there's recipes for everything from mashed potatoes with shiitake mushrooms, which probably are delicious. It looks pretty gross.
That
Um,
sounds delicious to me.
Venison steak.
That does not sound so delicious to me.
And
And
they
then
give you a lot of options for these. A lot of these items, like the goat cheeseburgers and the venison steak, you can't get that everywhere. It's just, you can't. So they give you options for substituting it for things that are more commercial.
and for those of you who don't know, the reason why I say that is I'm a vegetarian, so I
Hmm.
don't eat meat. So for me, those aren't a huge deal. But there is this gorgeous guy's sweater in the back.
Well, and it's a lady sweater too. Um,
Oh.
it's called Service.
Mm-hmm.
Cervus. Maybe Curvis is better. But yeah,
It's
the
meant to be
sizing
sex. Mm-hmm.
goes from body circumference of 29 and a quarter up to 64 inch. But yes, it's shown on men and women. I actually really like the way it looks on this
I like the
girl.
fact that it's got the so she says to switch it to do just by switching the e's. So on a
Hmm.
woman, switch from to negative e's. On a guy, switch to positive
Right.
e's. And it's got thumb holes, which are
Hmm.
really cute. It uses peace fleece or mountain mohair. Um, it's knit in the round, so very very pretty.
There's a couple of items in the back. Stranded colorwork hat, which
Yeah,
has a name I can't. Oleracia, which sort of is intended to look like a row of planted vegetables, a row of planted cabbages, maybe. So you've got your stranded colorwork.
there's a recipe for Brussels sprouts and cranberries,
Hmm.
and that's it.
Yep, there's information on both of the authors here in the back and where they live and how they farm or what have you,
Yeah, and
and
also yarn sources.
as well as abbreviations for all of the
Hmm.
terms that are used in the book and a bit about cooperative press at the end. So this book is cast iron cast on, and it's available from Cooperative Press via the link through Ravelry for $16.95, or you can get it through Amazon as well.
If you do purchase it through Amazon, because things have changed, you will not get the download of the book. So it's just the paper copy of the book. So um, that is cast iron cast on. I like the seasonalness of it.
I do too. I actually really like the idea of that book quite a lot, of mixing crafts. I like the idea of encouraging people who might not otherwise pick up a cookbook to try
Yeah,
something different because it's in a
definitely.
knitting book. I like the idea of, she talks about it a little bit in the book as well in the beginning, how especially in the farming community, people who do one type of craft tend to do a whole lot of crafts.
Hmm.
One is a gateway to the other, and I like the idea of
It's like
that.
gateway drugs.
Yeah, it's your gateway craft.
There you go.
Um,
We do have a question to answer from all that cake knit. She says, "Hi, hey Leslie and Laura. Do you have any tips for spinning a consistent yarn with a drop spindle? Mine is still thick and thin after about a month. When does the yarn begin to look better? Thanks." So, two things, perhaps, maybe three. If you, I would ask how you're spinning because you can, with a drop spindle, you grab a drop spindle, you can continually, this does not have fiber attached to it, but you can continually spin and draft at the same time, or you can park and draft.
mhm.
If you need more time to get it consistent, I would use the park and draft method, which means that you draft out your fiber, then you spin, then it stops. You draft out your fiber, then you spin, then it stops, rather than one consistent motion. That might help a little bit. The other thing, really, that might help is just practicing.
15 minutes a day.
15 minutes a day. Try it for 15 minutes a day during your lunch break, while you're waiting for your coffee to brew, any downtime.
Before bed at night, brush your teeth, moisturizer, spend 15 minutes.
Yep. I found when Leslie and I first started spinning, we do our first like Tour de France was just our only goal was to spend 15 minutes a day, and that helps tons. The third thing would be fiber prep. So I would get the best fiber prep that you can afford. Make sure that you're getting well prepped fiber,
and I would make sure that it's a fiber that is appropriate for someone who's beginning.
Yeah, like a BFL or
don't try to spin cashmere
or like, Cordell.
Right
yeah,
off.
Yeah. Try some medium length staple lengths like a BFL or a Cordell versus a merino. But sometimes fiber is cheap because it's not well prepped. So Into the World does great fiber. So does a million other people.
Yeah, Into the World is the first person I think of, primarily because she's consistent. Her prices are very reasonable. She's got tons of colors, lots of different fibers.
And I know she does Cordell and BFL.
Yeah.
Try to stay away from super washes as well.
To begin, yeah.
Yep. Just as a beginner.
Because the scales have been stripped, so they're more slippery than a natural wool would be. Yep. To begin with, you want it to be a little grabby.
So I think that's about it. Anything else you would like to put in?
No, because I own drop spindles. I very, very rarely spin on them. To things that you can convert over from wheel spinning are essentially, you need to practice every day. Even if it's for 5 minutes every day. You got to develop the muscle memory.
It's just like anything else. How do you become a better reader? How do you become a better knitter? How do you become better at basketball? You practice.
Yeah.
So I may have given that speech a few times in my life to several children. So it's just, and it works for adults as well. You're not going to be perfect the first time you try something. You've got to practice every day. So that is it. Thank you so much for your question, All That Cake Knit. And anyone who has any questions, we do have a question thread in our Ravelry group that you are welcome to ask any questions you have there. What are you reading, my friend?
Well, I finished Voyager, which is the third.
I need my update. So, Pirates.
Yes. So it's the third in the Outlander series. If you don't want to be spoiled, then skip this part. It'll be a lot shorter than it's been in previous weeks because I finished the third. And there was only.
Are you gonna move on to the fourth?
I don't know.
Oh, I need you to tell me what happened.
So, last week, I think when I ended, she had met up with Jamie.
And they were shipwrecked together.
They were shipwrecked, and he was suddenly a British captain of the local battalion or whatever.
Okay.
So they get back to the local city or whatever, and they're in Turks and Caicos, one of the smaller islands there, and so she meets back up with him. They're reunited. Oh, I love you.
You rock my world in both this world and 200 years later.
I actually did give in and Google whether or not Jamie was ever going to travel in the future, and he doesn't, because apparently, according to Diana Gabaldon, the author, time travel is genetic, so only certain people can travel through time.
Oh.
So she meets back up with Jamie. There's
a kids series that uses genetic time travel too, called Ruby Red. That's really good. Anyway, get back to your Outlander.
So they meet back up, And they're looking for Ian. Ian is the nephew, and the whole reason that they took this voyage because he got abducted. And so
Yes.
they end up.
But he does not have a hook arm.
That's Fergus, who's actually my favorite character. um, so they end up asking around because it's often that slaves and indentured people are brought to this island and sold. So there's a whole nother sort of subplot with the local slave community and the rebellion that ends up getting them all killed. All the slaves killed.
I
And
was like, wait, that would be the end of
no,
Outlander.
it's just the slaves. You know, they're just expendable apparently, so they all die. But this is my contempt coming through. So, crap, I forgot. Oh, so they're looking for Ian, and they make inquiries in the local city as to like who are the big people in town who would have bought slaves, you know, in the recent past. And they end up going through a few people, and they finally decide they have to meet up with this one lady, Mrs. Abernathy. So they go up to meet Mrs. Abernathy, who ends up being Gilly from the first book, who didn't get burned at the stake, apparently. She was pregnant with Jamie's uncle's baby, and she was in the thieves' hole or whatever with Claire when she was going to burn at the stake. But she was pregnant, so they didn't burn her right away. They were going to let her have the baby and then burn her. Well, apparently she got away and made her way over.
What happened with the baby?
I don't know. She gave it to Dougal before
The
he
uncle?
died. Huh?
The uncle? Is that the uncle?
Yes, the uncle. So she gave it to Dougal because she's unfeeling and has no care or whatever for the baby. And so she makes her way over to Turks and Caicos and marries somebody else. Apparently she's had 5 marriages since she traveled back in time. And she's been abducting these boys, so she was actually behind Ian's abduction.
Whoa.
Right? Small world. I mean, it's only several thousand miles across the ocean, but sure, yeah, she's the reason he got abducted. Because she's looking for... She thinks that in order to travel through time, you have to sacrifice... You have to have certain stones and blood. Blood meaning you have to kill a certain type of person, and you have to have these certain jewels. So they go up, they figure out Mrs. Abernathy is Gilly.
Does she recognize that?
Oh yeah, she knows. And she's evil. Right. She's not seen Ian or any boys, but of course she has. And she's got them hidden away. And so they leave, and then they get halfway away, and then they turn back because Jamie's just sure that there's that the boys are there. But when they go back, she's already left, and she's gone to some other island that's got a magic cave where she's going to try to time travel again. And she's taken Ian there. So, you know, they do another sea voyage over to this other island, and they, I think it's another island. I don't remember. And they have to go through all these caves to get to Ian, and they get there just in time, and they kill Gilly because she's trying to kill Ian.
Does she say, I'm not a witch, I'm not?
She does not. She proudly owns up to being a witch. So they save Ian, and they go back to the ship, and then there's a terrible storm that, like, well, they're being pursued by the British from the islands.
Because they're anti-witches?
Because they know he's a Fraser.
Oh, okay.
And, you know, he's Red Jamie Fraser. Red because he spilled a bunch of blood during Culloden. And leading up to Culloden. And so the British are in a much bigger, faster ship, and they're going to catch them. But then a storm comes, and it lasts for days, and it ends up breaking.
Shipwrecking them?
Yeah. well, not wrecked, like they get, not Jamie's ship, the British's ship, it breaks and drowns everybody. But Jamie's ship is okay. But it's still been like, they can't navigate because it's been storming for days and days, so they can't see the stars. And the compass has been damaged because there was only one.
Yeah.
And they end up landing, and so the very last part of the book, they find out that they're in Georgia. They landed in Georgia, in the U.S. In the
I feel
States.
like Georgia was a prison colony at one point.
I don't know. Somebody found them and brought them into their home, and was nursing them back to health, and they're in Georgia. They just found that out, and that's the end of the book.
Interesting.
And
because you know how like Australia was a prison colony?
Yeah.
There's also some prison colonies in the States. And I feel like Georgia might have been one of them.
Maybe.
Could be. Who knows?
I'm a little burnt out on the series at the moment. But I'm going to read some summaries of the fourth book to see, because sometimes, like, the books are good. They're entertaining. They're somewhat predictable in places, but they're entertaining. But in between the entertaining, there's like 2 hours of learn the geography of Turks and Caicos. I don't care. I'm never going to need this information. Why are you telling me about all of these British generals and, this particular type of herb and where it grows? And, like, there's some things that just don't seem like the story could survive without that much detail.
This is a lot of research.
Yes. And I'm not saying it's not well done.
Why it takes her so long to write books.
Yeah.
Because I think it's like a couple years between her books coming out.
So I need to do some
research into whether or not you're going to read.
Right.
Yeah. I do that on Goodreads all the time.
It's a lot. It's like 45 hours per book. It's a lot to listen to.
Are you going to watch the next season when it comes on?
Oh, yeah. Because I've already read the book for that season and for the next, assuming they do a third. But at this point, I'm like, what else can happen? I mean... but then today I started a new audiobook. I didn't link it. It was one that you recommended. It was an Alana Andrews. I'm pulling it up now because I can't remember the name of it.
Was it Bayou Moon?
Bayou Moon.
On the Edge? The Edge Chronicles?
Yes, the Edge Chronicles.
Bayou Moon's the second one.
Yes, so William, who was one of the pursuers of the chick in the first book, who didn't get her because Declan got her.
Yep.
So he's one of the main characters in this book. But I'm having a hard time. The narrator is at a decibel that, like, puts me to sleep for some reason. Or doesn't put me to sleep, but, like, I zone out. And then 5 minutes have passed and I have no idea what's happening. So
yeah, it might be one that would be better read.
Yeah.
And then it says you're reading Storm's Heart by Thea Harrison.
Yes, I read Storm's Heart by Thea Harrison, which was the second in... The first one was, like...
It's the Elder Races book.
Yes, it was the dragon one where Culebra Enterprises or something.
Yeah, I just finished the last one, and then she does some short stories along the way too, which are really good.
Yeah, like character spin-off stories.
They're kind of like there's some that I like way better than other ones. Dragonbound's the first one.
Yeah, there you go.
And then Serpent's Kiss is the third. I really like Kinked is probably my favorite, and then Knight's Honor is really good too.
I haven't decided if I'm going to read the third one, the Serpent's Kiss one, because it got really mixed reviews because the main character is a vampire and they're trying to cure the vampire. So
yeah, but she comes. Okay, that's probably my least favorite of them. But she reappears throughout the rest of them for the most part. So if you don't read that one,
yeah. You're
kind of like...
Well, I decided to take a break, and so yesterday I reread Dragon Actually, which was one that Laura had recommended.
I love that.
Which is silly, and it's
so silly.
It's
so awesome.
But it's fun.
Her other books are good, too. Have you read any of her Shelley Lawrence's? There's a badger one, a honey badger one. That one's probably my favorite.
I've been sort of on a dragon kick lately. I don't know.
Do you enjoy some dragons?
But that's pretty much what I've been reading.
Okay. I've been watching The Librarians, like shotgunning them, which is a ridiculous series. It's kind of like Warehouse 13. I really need to go back and watch the last season of Warehouse 13. I don't think ever got put on Netflix.
Oh, did it not?
I don't think so. I need to finish Warehouse 13. I need to go
I've
back.
watched everything that was on Netflix. I liked that show. It was
I
silly,
did
but
too.
I like it.
And Librarians is the same way. It's very silly. It's got Noah Wiley. Sometimes he doesn't wear a shirt. Makes my day. It's got the guy from Night Court, a very like pretentious lawyer from Night Court. The original movie and the first one of the series has Bob Newhart, who's like one of my favorite actors of all time. And I love the fact when he's on Big Bang, he was just on Big Bang again. Oh, I love him on Big Bang. Um, I'm caught up on Big Bang too, and I'm caught up on NCIS. Oh, the last NCIS was really good too. Anyways, so I've been watching a lot of TV lately and knitting, and then because Christmas knitting. And then I started reading last night the Steel and Stone series, which is a free Kindle Unlimited book series by Annette Marie, which was decent. And then on my way home, because I ran out of Knit More Girl episodes to listen to, and Knitting Pipeline episodes to listen to, I finished the Charlie Davidson first book in the series. So
Is
I'm
that
going
the
to try
first grave on the right one?
Yes. So I'm going to do the second one next. And go from there. I was hoping my library had them, but they do not. So
Sad panda.
yeah. But I have an Audible credit right now, so I'm going to get the second because I really like Lorelei King as a narrator. But they're pretty adults, and they're like to the fact that like I'm driving and blushing. I'm like,
Nobody can hear it, but
I'm so glad no one else is in the car with me.
So it's not one that you and I could listen to together.
We could listen to it together. It's not one Wheezy and I could listen to. Because, like,
awkward.
one time, Wheezy and I were watching, what's that, Mad Men? Like, the first episode of Mad Men together. And I was like, oh, no, we cannot. Wheezy can watch this series, and Laura can watch this series, but we cannot watch this in the same place together.
Yeah.
Like, there's just some things that you cannot watch with your father. And Wheezy would have no interest in this book series anyways. Wheezy is reading something about who was president after Roosevelt. Roosevelt died in office, and then was it Eisenhower became president? I feel like that's truth.
I was always terrible at this.
So he's reading a biography about Eisenhower's wife that he was particularly...
Wheezy strikes me as a biography kind of guy.
He loves biographies.
To be able to pull out random facts about things or people.
It's funny because he and Jessica's husband, Mike, read very similar books. So she and I go back and forth with suggestions for the two of them. But yeah, he really likes like the Bill Bryson travel narratives. And he does some history too. And then a lot of biographies. A lot of presidential biographies especially. So... And he really likes FDR and company. So, that's about it for that. Favorite things. We still have that, the thread that was about...
Craft management.
Craft management? I thought it was goals. Craft goals?
Well, we have both of those. The craft management thread is still, like, how you handle setting goals for yourself. And stuff.
Okay. Crafting goals. How do you track yours? And then, so that's... People are still, we're not going to draw any more prizes from there, but people are still, it's a great thread to look at and chatter about goals.
Yeah, you learn the way other people do things. It might inspire you on how you want to do things yourself.
Yeah. And then Leslie will be at Vogue Knitting Live in less than a month.
Yep.
Just for a day. And I will be at DFW Festival in March, the end of March. First week in April, really. Right after my birthday. We have a giveaway for Ply Magazine. So I'm going to go ahead and lock that thread. That was really interesting, reading about what people were interested in. The sustainability in the fiber world especially I thought was interesting. And then also breed-specific spinning I thought was a great...
Yeah, I love that idea.
That was
doing
really
an episode on like the double-coated or the long wools.
Yep. We have episodes on the brain. So there are 200 posts. I am post number 1, so we need 2 through 200. Jess is post number 2, so she can't win.
Well, I haven't pushed the button yet, so I don't know. Maybe she can win.
Nope.
86, which should be on the fourth page.
86 is Death, who's still pretty new to spinning, so she's got lots to learn, but what interests her the most is learning different sources of fiber, including some rare sheep spin-alongs and learning about different breeds. Also curious about different drafting methods. Ooh, so that's Michelle from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I wonder where she is in Pittsburgh.
Don't go down that rabbit hole. She
Her
is
favorite
not
color
sending you
is gray.
Saris's.
Everyone should send me Saris's.
Saris
So
is a local chocolate factory for those of you that
yes.
don't live in the area and haven't had Laura direct you on the Pittsburgh tour.
Leslie got to see the house that I used to live in.
I did. I felt a
Wait,
little bit like a
Saris's.
stalker, but um,
So
anyhow.
cool. So Death, just send me a PM and I will get you in touch with Jess and you will get
A year
your
subscription.
your subscription apply. So that's very cool. Just go ahead. I don't know what she's gonna ask me, so maybe go ahead and send me your full name and address.
That's what I was.
She might need that
Yeah.
in your email. That would be good. We have a new contest. That
For the
is
Shalimar.
Shalimar Yarns. Oh, this base is so fun to work with. It is the Airy base. It is a 70% superwash merino, 20% kid mohair. So if you are allergic to mohair, not the yarn for you. And then 10% silk. It is a single ply. Once I blocked this, it was really like it totally changed and became very. It's still soft, but like totally different. Lots of drape to it,
Mm-hmm.
and it blocked really, really well, which I was a little bit concerned about with a single ply yarn.
Mm-hmm. As long as it's
Uh,
well balanced, and it appears that it is.
oh yeah, definitely. Well, I was afraid like sometimes single plies don't have. I don't know. You get more energy when you ply.
Mm-hmm. It
Some
reverts back to its
yeah.
natural.
I don't know. I don't know what I was thinking. We have a new to you technique, craft all the things going on. It will go from January 1st through March 31st, which is the day after my birthday, in case you're curious, and the day that I'm going to
Hint, hint,
DFW.
hint, hint, hint.
Leslie. um, like, do you want to talk about the invisible stranding? Because you put that in the notes.
Yeah, so we opened a thread about the craft all the things techniques, a new to you technique, and so people listed sort of what their
Plans are.
yeah, what they want to do as their new to you technique. And a lot of people had great ideas. Brioche popped up several times. Cables popped up several
Yep.
times. Brioche is definitely something that's on my list for next year. But Sonic Freak posted a link to something called Invisible Stranding. I'd never heard of it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so, of course, immediately I want to do it because I've never heard of it. So, and I've linked it in the show notes. And it's a way of doing Fair Isle that it when you have when you're working Fair Isle, and you have long stretches of one color, and then between that long stretch of one color, you've got, let's say that your background is white and your motif is red. And so you've got 2 inches or 3 inches between each red motif, and that's solid white in between. When you have that much space, you have to twist your floats so that well, you don't have to, but it's recommended that you twist your
Yeah.
floats so that they don't snag on anything and it keeps the tension loose.
Yep.
But when you do that, sometimes it can cause puckering in the fabric, and you can sort of see that color through your main color. Uh, I haven't read the entire. I went out and bought this invisible stranding pattern because it's like
Yeah.
$6. It's got links to tons of videos. It's got a lot of picture tutorials. And I went and read the comments on the pattern as well, and everybody commenting on how wonderful it was and how it's changed the way they do Fair Isle, and a lot of great support in the forums as well. So I haven't tried it yet, but I'm going to try it this year because I'm always looking for a better way to balance my Fair Isle because of the way
Yeah.
that I do. Because of the way that I knit, I'm a thrower, and the tension in my right hand is significantly different than the tension in my left hand. So it really affects how that color work looks. So I'm hoping that this will help kind of balance it out, or at least, you know, give me an idea of how I can balance it out. But it looks really cool. So
Hey.
if you're somebody who works Fair Isle, if you haven't heard of this invisible stranding, the episode show notes, which are on our website, TheKnitGirlls with 3Ls.com, for episode 281 has the link.
Very cool. And just a reminder of what this Craft All the Things is. We gave you the dates, but it's starting a project after January 1st that is a new to you technique, or a technique that you've used very seldom that you want to become more proficient on.
Yes, and it can be in any craft.
Yep.
Knitting, sewing, cooking, canning, rug hooking, weaving.
Yeah, and if you have any questions, just ask.
Yes.
So that, I think, is about it for us. Patreon. We're gonna do our drawing for December next week, so I can spin the lights.
Yes, and
show y'all.
I've picked out a scheme for the giveaway for the Patreon folks. I'm gonna give away this OCD pack of mustache yarns in the Sesame colorway. Sesame Street colorway, sorry. So OCD pack means it's 2 separate schemes that are exactly identical. Yep. So if that matters to you, this is a fingering weight, and it's a perfect sock, so it's a merino nylon blend, 463 yards, and it is absolutely beautiful. I'm only giving it away because my friend Casey already knit me a pair of socks out of this colorway, so I won't need it, but it's something that I'm going to pass on to you guys.
Awesome.
I did also want to thank people. We put out our first special Patreon episode last week.
Yes, we did.
And we got a lot of great feedback on that. So I'd like to just open it up and you guys let us know what other sorts of videos you guys would enjoy. Things that we can do while we live separately, because there are a lot of things I would love to do that are really hard to do when we're not in the same place.
That's true.
So like tutorials are hard to do when we're not in the same place. So if you guys have ideas, let us know, because we're up for pretty much anything. So, and thank you to all of our Patreon supporters, regardless of the dollar amount. For anyone who is not familiar, Patreon is a website that allows you to sign up to support your favorite podcasts. You can support for as little as $1 per episode. Yep, and all the little special ones you get for free, but only you get them.
Yep.
Yes, so, and anybody, regardless of the dollar amount, gets a thank you note. I filled out
shipping them to me,
first
and I
big chunk of them, and signed them, and so I have to send them to Laura so that Laura can sign them, because it wouldn't be any good from just one of us. And so, hopefully, you'll be getting them in January.
Yep. Anything else?
Not unless anybody wants to come to New Jersey and clean my house.
No, you're gonna have people PMing you.
Yeah, I don't want anybody to actually see my house.
For socks. Yeah.
Yes, so I think that's it.
Okay. I will talk to you a little bit later.
Yep. Y'all have a wonderful whatever.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. All right. Bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all.